Hi, Jeff here with Sarracenia Northwest, and today we have a fun video that's actually something of an origin story. Now, if you follow our channel, you've probably seen a few of our videos that we've done on our rock gardens here in the nursery, and we've become kind of well known for those. And we've had some videos on the kind of rocks to use and how to bore them out and plant them and the kind of plants to use in them. But here's where all of this got started. Back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, I was working with a friend and this coworker of mine. He and his brother owned a pumice quarry in Northern California, and they would take their pumice stones from there and they would bore them out and they would plant like trees and perennials and some other plants in there. He asked me, have you ever tried your carnivorous plants in these? And at first I was like, no, and that's not going to work. He says, well, give it a shot. So I'm going to give you a few rock samples here. Go ahead and plant some. If it doesn't work, that's the way it goes. But if it does, you may have something kind of interesting here going on. So I took a few of them and did some plantings, and I wasn't prepared for the results that came from that. And one of those initial specimens is this plant that I have here right next to me, which is a Sarracenia rubra jonesii, and this rock already had the hole bored out, so I just went ahead and put some peat media in there, planted the plant. It was a fairly small plant, and then put some sphagnum moss in around the top, and about 20 years later, this is what we have. Now, shortly after that, I went ahead and planted some of these other ones too. This sort of dark colored purpurea hybrid that's here is one that my friend Greg himself had, but he didn't have a great location for it, so he gave it back to me. This one's probably in the neighborhood of about 18 years old, so a bit of a slow grower. This purpurea venosa that's over here with all of the ostrich ferns around it, roughly same time period. That one has been kind of a slow grower, but looks nice, grows well. Another jonesii behind that, and kind of sneaking in on the back, I think there's a Dana's Delight over there too. But the rock gardens ended up working really well because of how the pumice conducts water up, and carnivorous plants are used to growing in extremely low nutrient environments, and the rock provides that too. Now, in addition to all of the pitcher plants that you see in the rocks here, when the moss begins to grow, and even without the moss sometimes, you start getting volunteer plants that pop up on them. A lot of times it's other carnivorous plants. There are all kinds of sundews up here of various types, pitcher plant seedlings that pop up. Some of the sundews will even begin to grow right on the rocks themselves if they're staying wet enough. And then something like the ostrich fern that we see in here, those are just spores that have come in from other places, and those are definitely bog ferns that like this environment as well. Now, even though these rocks are fairly old, we have one that's even older, and this is actually our oldest undivided Sarracenia in the nursery. This is a Sarracenia leucophylla tarnock, and this was one of the very first plants that I put into one of these big rocks I was describing earlier. And this had the hole bored in it, just like all of them did, and we went ahead and planted it. It was not a very big plant. In fact, all this thing was a single cell plug, because this was one of the very first trays of Sarracenia leucophylla tarnock that I got from a company in Florida that we get tissue cultured plants from. Now, as it began to grow, this is really kind of demonstrating what leucos tend to do as they grow. They really like sending their rhizomes out kind of sideways. Not unusual for them to be found in like hard pan clay type environments in their savannas in the south. And so as you look along the front, you can definitely see how those rhizomes are kind of creeping out. Roots are going down into the water in different areas. Now, sometimes it's asked, why have we not like taken this thing out, before it got so big? It basically is that it became kind of unmanageable to try and do that, because we would end up having to completely just bust the thing entirely apart. It would probably break the rock as well. So we just decided just leave it, and we've ended up, as a result of that, with this absolutely magnificent specimen, that's 20 plus years old.